Something in my life that I've tried to figure out over a long period of time would be priorities. How do I prioritize things? How do other people prioritize things? And what I've found is that if I want to learn how to do something or learn about something, the first thing that I like to try and do is how do I measure it? How do I measure priorities? And I've looked at it as this: if I have something, it's higher on the priority list if I am willing to suffer more for it or sacrifice more for it. So that's how I measure my priorities. So, for example, a simple one that I've heard before would be this: if you're not willing to wake up early for it, why would you be staying up late for it? So, something like scrolling on social media. If I'm not willing to wake up early to scroll on social media, why would I stay up late to scroll on social media? And this even pushed me into a different area where sleep was a huge priority. I'm willing to suffer a little bit more to get sleep, to go to bed earlier so then I can wake up earlier and feel really good throughout the next day, to get enough hours of sleep to be productive the next day. That's something that I'm willing to sacrifice and suffer for. So that is high up on my priority list, especially because it has compounding effects. Now, scrolling and stuff like that, that could go into this realm of like bedtime procrastination, where you're looking at anything you can do because that time when everybody else is asleep, when you view the world as asleep, then you feel like, oh, this is my time, nobody can interrupt it, and so you procrastinate going to sleep because now you feel like this is your time and nobody's going to come in here and tell you what to do with this time, so you can do whatever you want to. But you can also shift that to the mornings and then have a more productive day the next day, because most of the things that you want to do probably are very neurologically excitatory. So like they almost wake you up because you're excited to do it. You could do that in the morning and you could have a really good rest of your day because you got woke up with something that was really cool. Whether that's video game scrolling, watching YouTube, whatever that is. But back to prioritization. So when I look at prioritizing things, be what I'm willing to suffer for. And that really got me thinking into like sacrifice, to suffer or sacrifice. And then I was thinking, what do I think about sacrifice? Because sacrifice is one of those things that when we look at sacrifice, most people will sacrifice for these big things. But what's the smallest thing that you'll sacrifice? It's like somebody will only sacrifice to look like the hero or feel like the hero. But what's the smallest thing you'll make sacrifices for? Will you make sacrifices for the things that don't make you look like a hero? Will you make the sacrifices for things that are almost neutral in the moment? Will you make a sacrifice while suffering for something in the future? And in this road of just trying to measure priorities, it really got into this place of motivation. Am I sacrificing things or suffering for things so then I can be comfortable in the moment? Or am I doing this to set myself up for success in the future? Those are two completely different mindsets. And I really only properly prioritize things when I understood those two mindsets. The mindset of sacrificing and suffering because I wanted momentary comfort or momentary pleasure or momentary reward. I want it right now. Versus I want to do the things now. I'm going to suffer now. Because if I wanted the pleasure or the reward or whatever it is in the moment, I unknowingly am suffering and sacrificing things in the future. Much better things, greater things, growth that I could have had. To a mindset of suffering now, sacrificing now, to then get the reward in the future, set myself up for success in the future. That shift right there, that motivation shift, that understanding what sacrifice and suffering were, when to actually use them, how to measure them in the realm of motivation, help me understand how I should prioritize things. So now the priority wasn't just what somebody else said this priority was supposed to be. I now wasn't living on either other people's terms, or I wasn't living in my momentary selfish desires right now. I shifted completely to my own terms on growth that I wanted to have in the future, the goals that I wanted to have in the future. And I actually wanted to do those because my mindset had shifted from having the reward now to knowing what the reward could be out in the future. And shifting this priority, this idea of how I should prioritize things this way was so impactful on my life. Because now I'm not doing things for right now. And it makes such a big difference because I'm reaching the goals and it feels far more effortless. I'm enjoying both the journey of doing something and the destination, which prior to, I was lucky if I got to enjoy just the journey or the destination. And I was trying to figure out which one I was supposed to enjoy and how to just enjoy one. But now I get to fully understand what I have to do, where I have to place things in the hierarchy, to understand this plan subconsciously. And now this didn't start with me, oh, I'm going to, take all my money and invest it for retirement. No, it was small things. It started with short term, right? So it was like things like, all right, I have a bedtime routine, right? I put out my clothes, I get, if I have coffee, if I'm going to have coffee the next morning, I get the coffee ready, whatever it is that I need the next morning, I would get ready the night before as a routine. Now doing this the whole time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm rewiring this. I'm getting this different cycle, this different mental cycle here of, I get to close up, man, I'm going to have so much more time for myself in the morning because I'm going to set my clothes out. I don't have to think about that. I don't have to wake up groggy and think what I'm going to wear. I just have to push a button on the coffee maker and it's going to make coffee. It's already ready. And if I could preset it, I could preset it, and then the time, it would just go. I already have it. Little things like this. And then the reward isn't so far out there. It's the next morning, right? And we already do these things in our life. Like, I take a shower so then I don't stink. Well, I don't go out in public and like, man, I'm glad I took that shower. But I could do that. Every time I realize that I did something to set myself up for success now, I try and realize that I did something to set myself up for success in the moment that I'm in right now. And so when my clothes are laid out in the morning, I try and realize that I did that. I did that. I set myself up for success. I made my breakfast, when I had some time, when I scheduled it in during maybe that nighttime routine, whatever it is, I'm going to have to make it anyway. And so I might as well try and put that into a routine where I set myself up for success in the future. See, now without even knowing it, just setting myself up for success, just attaining these goals, prepping my meals so I don't have to think about it. I just grab a meal, I eat the meal, I move on with my day. See, now I'm prioritizing things without even knowing I'm prioritizing. But what I'm really doing ultimately is I have this mindset shift that has happened on how I am rewarded, how I reward myself. And it went from rewarding myself in the moment to being like, I just need to sit down because I need to feel good in the moment, right? I was always looking for a reward. I was always looking to catch a break. But the only way you're ever going to catch a break is if you go and chase that thing down. And so what did I do? I went and chased it down. And again, I'll say I'm prioritizing without even knowing I'm prioritizing because I am knowing what is worth suffering for. And the things worth suffering for is setting myself up for success consistently in the future. Now, the more we get our mind to think like this, the more automatic it is. And then the more success looks easy. The stronger we become to the world resistance against us. And when we start doing this and it becomes automatic, then we become that person that's like other people look at and they're like, oh, wow, your life looks so easy. Well, it's not, but your mind is wired to make you think that way because you're getting rewarded consistently from things that you set yourself up for success for doing. This has been a game changer in my life in understanding, like truly understanding and making prioritization automatic.